Pleasure. I'm here to introduce one speaker that has quite an interesting job title. I think he's the only guy who has an animal as a job. So what does that mean, that you're a bear?
Papa bear.
Papa bear, yeah.
Let's get that right. Well, I'm like herding my flock of bears, so to speak, and I'm also like trying to take good care of them. But also, I sometimes say that I'm cuddly and friendly and such, but ultimately also lethal if I need to be.
So let's see if Sami has teeth. Applause.
Thanks. Hey, how's it going? There are still a couple of you left because I have talked with a lot of people in this conference, and pretty much all of them said that they have to leave with an early flight or ferry and such. I expected 5 people here, but there's a bit more. I'm getting a bit nervous. Do you still have energy for one more? Cool. But I don't believe you. I have to test it. So let's stand up. This is well, basically a cognitive test. How do you follow orders and details and such? Let's do so that you pull both arms, so like this. Looking good. Still with me? I didn't do that. That wasn't a step in this test. Fail. Nah, just kidding. Then turn them around. See that your right hand is still working by doing this. And bring it under the left arm and entwine your fingers. Under. Some tried over. But yeah, and then do this. What's wrong? Hey. Apparently, did you have a rough party last night? Sit down. Thank you. If you think about the details and what I did, you get that. But hey, welcome to my session about, I tell about a little bit about success and what it takes on my occasion. I'm not too serious about it, so and you can hardly see me crying ever, so except watching Pixar animation movies and Hangover. But otherwise, I try to give you a cohesive story on what we did in SOK, building QA operations that's one of the best in the nation, if not the best, and how it affected me and what I have to do. Little bit about myself. I have done testing and quality work for roughly 20 years now. I always consider myself a tester by nature. As a kid, I used to see what happens if. And that has dictated my approach on testing always. I'm not interested in proving anything. I like to see what happens if. And usually things break and everything. So, but I have moved towards QA. For many, it means quality assurance. I don't like that word. I'm more of a quality advocate, and we go more into that in a moment. But yeah, 2 kids, wife, 2 cats that I don't like that much. They scream and vomit, so they don't bring me that much energy. And usually that happens in the middle of the night. So, sorry? Sometimes I don't even know. So, yeah. But yeah, I throw a lot of disc golf, at least 3 times a week. If anyone knows Kristin Tatar, I love her, to be honest. Estonian women disc golfer that won the world championship last year. So, awesome person. Whiskies, watches, music production, and so on. So, that kind of stuff. And from Finland. It's from where you drive with ferry to Helsinki, or northern Tallinn, as you used to say, and then 50 kilometers east. That's where I live. Well, we joke back that Tallinn is southern Helsinki, but jokes aside. But yeah, this is my sixth time in Nordic Testing Days. This is a picture of me doing my first talk in 2012. So I've become like a resident performer here. And at least back then I used to have standards, suit and everything. Now this raggedy ass. A bit overweight and everything. I've been living good, so. But yeah, we got all the days, the good days. But hey, about the context. As said, I work in SOK. It operates also in Estonia. We have a small market share via Prisma in here. Probably roughly 800 people working in there. And but in Finland, we are massive. Pretty much we are entwined in every fiber of the nation. Biggest private employer in Finland with over 40,000 people there. And we operate in pretty much, well, supermarkets and service stations and banking and so on. And systems, we have over 100 systems, tens of teams taking care of them. And we have been, there's the technology unit of roughly 1,000 people, divided into these people that handle all the customer data and so on. And then the classic IT, which is like billing, ERP systems and so on. And the spearhead that I belong in, digital development, that tries to renew the ways we are doing things in a company of this size. 3.5 years back, I was asked to join SOK and to start building QA operations there. There was only a couple of consultants at the time, so there was awfully lot to do, and I didn't know quite how to approach it. So I started, well, hey, I forgot. We do also collaboration with this. So these wonderful robots operate quite actively in Finland, delivering food to our customers. And they are made in Estonia. Well, are they made in Estonia? Well, at least the company is Estonian. But yeah, collaboration in there. But yeah, when I joined 3.5 years ago to SOK, I just started punching keys, which is ultimately the wrong way of doing things when you approach a new environment. I just started flooding Confluence with my knowledge on heuristic models, testing, quality work, and so on. I did pretty much, I was pretty arrogant, full of passionate fire, and thought that, well, I know best. I've done this quite a lot. So, and it caused, I still have enemies from that time. And it's, Well, I know that many of you like to solve problems via console and code editor. But first, you should have some kind of plan that you communicate with people. And I started thinking that, and somehow I forgot how I approach testing. I always, when I approach testing, I create this 10-minute test plan. What do we have? What do we need to have? Where do we focus on? On what do we focus? And then how do we work? Those 4 points I always put into my test plan. And that same works in a company. What do we have testing-wise, QA-wise? And what do we need to have? Are we covering bases in security, performance, and so on? And on what do we focus? Because we cannot tackle everything. So we just started choosing our battles and working in different ways. But quite quickly it became apparent that I cannot please everyone. This is the focusing part. For instance, I spent a lot of time battling with developers, whether this is a feature or a bug or that kind of nonsense. I don't want to do that. So I started looking for allies. For instance, a good example of seeking allies, for instance, in marketing perspective, is that nowadays companies don't put that much budget on these huge marketing campaigns. They do guerrilla stuff, like contacting influencers that will spread their message. That's why the Instagram influencers and such are paid so handsomely. And that's why I needed to find powerful allies. And those were found in business. I'm not too technical anymore, so I'm usually embarrassing myself when trying to convince CTOs or whatnot. But in business, there's ultimately the money, and I managed to convince them to fund our efforts to scale up the QA function. Usually when a business wants to know how we can benefit them, what is the value of QA, we start doing semi-pseudo-scientific stuff, like measuring return of investment. So what I did, usually it's really hard to measure quality, but you can measure the opposite of it. So you start estimating risks, risk mapping, and so on, and talking with business about avoiding these risks and how much it would save money from them. And they seem to love this approach. And they said, that, of course, we buy this. If we manage to dodge these risks, then of course. And even if I managed to demo, for instance, back in the day, we released food web store. I found a bug that saved the web store €500,000 per year. So it's within an hour of exploration on the system. So it's quite powerful statement in the eyes of business people. If I would start arguing with the the mass group of people about whether it's a feature, bug or what, I would spend my time wrongly. But yeah, I started getting money for QA people. So I started hiring them, but also I needed to hire the right kind that would understand how things are done the modern way. You've seen the figure 8. Several presentations have shown the DevOps way of doing things. you intertwine the dev and ops together, and then you come up with something beautiful. And everything works in a service way. You don't do a project, you do a service that you build gradually, and it continues until it's dead at some point in its life cycle. And everything goes through this kind of the figure 8, or this kind of wheel. I call it a wheel. It was originally invented in AWS. There was Emily someone that they wanted to reinvent the way DevOps is done. So they created a wheel that goes through first the ideas. You have a business idea. It starts to become concrete in artifacts and so on, and ultimately it goes into production. Through different focus areas. You consider security all the time. When you come up with the idea, you try to figure out how we can take security into account. Usability, scalability, all the time. Not just the individual actions somewhere, but all the time, like a value. So people who understand these, I hire them because they can produce value the way we need to produce value. Even further, if you know Dan Ashby, pretty awesome fella, brought this even further. We can operate in all these levels. For instance, good example is how we mentor juniors. Usually you take a junior developer or QA person, and you start to mentor them by doing coaching sessions and following their progress and everything. But it includes also mentoring the people who are at the influence of the junior, so that they can take good care of this junior also. And that ultimately results in high quality way of working and products. And yeah, considering that we test something, if we are bogged down in implementation and just running tests, developers are really awesome in doing that. And there's a risk of doing just that. And if they think that we are just good for executing tests, they will organize ways to get rid of us. That's already happening. So you need to think the bigger picture and be useful, be valuable also on other fronts than just implementation and executing tests. I'm getting a bit serious. I see your faces. There's some white blood is escaping your faces. But yeah, I'm speaking harsh words, but that's how things are going in our company also. Developers are awesome testers. They build awesome automators. And ultimately, AI is coming. Does all the bulk work for them, developers. They are really, really good at that. So if we manage to, as QA people, quality advocates, manage to tackle this, the wheel and everything, we are valuable to the team. People buy this in our company. And this is how our organization has grown since. And I got the team in the beginning of February 2021. I just had a few consultants. We had a plan of internalizing them. And now, of those people, we are at 43 at the moment, just QA people, quality advocates that manage the wheel, manage the cake that was showing. Doing, of course, just also the test execution, automation building and such, but also participate in ideation, design, and so on. Facilitating efforts in business, how to make quality there, building, production monitoring, analytics, so on. Lots of quality work. So that's the standard I'm setting at the moment to these people. But, yeah. I will cheat my notes. Yeah, let's talk about a little more about this. The business has started calculating ROI, return of investment, to our efforts through risks, how much we spend, and so on. And they like the results all the time. We just emphasize that also. And of course, I shout about it. Every event I talk about, look at this, look at the ROI and everything. Sorry about the allergies. But there we also have lots of buzz going on. We have QA days, on conferences facilitated by us. Lots of hackathons. We participate in development guidelines work, engineering handbook, all kinds of that. Good quality work. And the feedback is awesome. Daily, I get awesome feedback from the people. And I try to encourage them that they would be speakers in future Nordic testing days, so let's see. But yeah, this ultimately manifested in a way that Finnish Association for Software Testing wanted to award me the Tester of the Year award. So now I'm the reigning Tester of the Year in Finland. Cool. To be honest, I'm a bit embarrassed by it because if I get that kind of attention, because my people are the ones who shine, I just stamp holidays and approve invoices and whatnot. Well, that too. But some of you may have heard about the story of Icarus. He was the son of Daedalus, master craftsman in Greek mythology. They both made certain king, was it Midas, angry. Midas put them in a labyrinth that imprisoned them, and they built wings out of feathers, clothes, beeswax and whatnot, and flew away from the prison with these wings. Icarus' father warned him not to fly too close to the sun, or the beeswax would melt and the wings would go away. He didn't listen, so he fell from the sky into the sea and died. So that gloomy metaphor applies to my fate in this company. I started feeling bad. But before going into that, we need to talk about oracles. This is what Midjourney produced when I asked it to produce like a smart animal as an oracle. So it's a pig looking at a crystal ball. These graphics are actually made by Midjourney. It's a pretty awesome tool. Do you know about heuristics? Probably. You've heard about them in testing conferences. It's a way of approaching a problem. It's a fallible way. Solving a problem and investigating stuff and so on. An oracle is the way to recognize whether the outcome is right or wrong. And that's quite useful when you are monitoring yourself and your well-being. For instance, when you go to a casino, how do you know that the dice are working okay? Like they are not weighted against you? Any ideas? How do you make sure that the dice are okay? weight. Yeah, weight is one. There are scales to measure, and there's also these devices that you put the dice in and you spin it, so you see that if it warps, then it's weighted. Other approach is throw them a lot, but every throw costs. So if you bet, like if you have to do 1,000 throws and you have to see that the Gauss curve comes to 7, then it costs quite a lot. One powerful oracle in a casino is the security manager. If this person says that the dice are okay, they are okay. So you don't dig the measurements or anything. You just take what they say. Same applies with, we have requirements, we have specs, we have customer wishes, and if the product manager says that it's okay, it's okay. Don't complain about it as a tester. But yeah, that's a short introduction to oracles. We have to use them all the time in testing, but also when trying to see whether you're okay. This is what I do daily nowadays. Some of the stuff is cool. I love doing it, but not everything. My day usually begins by looking at Slack. It's blinking red. I have like 27 messages, and half of them is that some of my team members has made someone angry, and I have to go solve that. So my whole day goes to that, even though I should run a training or convince bosses to give me more money or whatnot. So it's always reacting to all kinds of things. And when there's more people, there's more of that. But yeah, but also we can combine things. I run the one-to-ones with people. We can do those in disc golf track. No worries. You don't always have to be in an office setting to do one-to-ones. Have a lunch with your teammate, go play disc golf, go swimming, whatnot. But there's a lot. I try to manage my work. I live and breathe Trello. I put everything there. My work stuff, my personal stuff. If I build like a gaming console out of a Raspberry Pi, I create a project in Trello and manage all the steps there. And all my work in SOK is divided into 3 different walls or boards. What I have to do, the nice things like when I manage to study something or run my own experiments or whatnot. And then the third is recruitment. I do all the time recruitment. I hire people 1 or 2 per month. So there's a lot of work in that too. But it starts to overflow. No method has helped me in this challenge. There's too much. And I have talked with my bosses to give me team leads and that kind of stuff, but we organize ourselves in a funny way. We are a flat organization, so that doesn't support that kind of workload. So it needs to be divided in the team. Of course, that we will talk about that more when we talk about the cure. But let's first talk about the hardships. This is the worst mistake I probably ever made. I want to be there for my team. So I give them SLA of 24/7, 365. If they need their holiday stamped, I will race from the grave to do that. So that's a bit too much. So it starts to take its toll on me. And that also with kids. It applies also when how many parents are there? Show of hands. Lots of parents. You know this that if you allow them to do, if you give them SLA of 24/7, 365, they will use it. None of my team members abuse it, but they know that I am available. They don't see the workload, and that's one of the problems. And if I would go and die, then I would have to raise from the grave as a blue ghost or whatnot to save Luke. But hey, another thing we can do together, we are in a safe space. And I know that some of you are suffering these things, and it's a safe space to say them out loud. We could try this exercise. Let's say together, I was wrong. One. Well, everyone's. Let me do the count. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Does it make you feel good to say that? Because I'm never wrong. Hey, I have quite a big ego. That's why I've climbed in the stage and everything. Well, no, it's a healthy relationship with my ego, but I don't admit that I'm wrong. That's a bad thing. I need to admit to myself. Another thing. 1, 2, 3. Yes, you do. Well, I do. I do need help. And I hate to admit that. Because previously I was this indestructible Papa Bear and whatnot. Lift myself into pedestal. Showed bad example of being invulnerable. I don't even know how to. Hey, segue to the last one. 1, 2, 3. I have no idea how to pronounce this. So, where's Worcestershire? Worcestershire. You have to soon give me mouth-to-mouth 80%. Yeah. But yeah, Worcestershire. So yeah. But the helping part. I did need help. I started recognizing symptoms that wasn't me. I started being angry all the time, actually. Anger was my primary reaction to everything. When someone assigned me a task, I was in bear mode all the time. And that made people afraid. What happens if there's a person you cannot talk to because you're all the time afraid of him? And that was me, unfortunately. It started also affecting things at home. I was angry. To my kids, to my wife, to my friends. So I needed help. And when you're seeking help, you grasp on anything, like self-help books, these models in the internet that you click a few answers and it tells you that you're a narcissist or purple or whatever. In my context, it was basically that I had ran out of battery. I couldn't do anything. All the tasks and everything required quite heavy amount of recovery. When I took a meeting, I had to do like a 2-hour walk in the woods to tackle that, just to be able to work, and that's unsustainable. And when you are exhausted, you start to behave in a way that makes things worse. So, and making people angry, and losing your composure, like losing your credibility as a professional, and that's not a good thing. So I just need to cheat a bit and look at my note. Yeah, I felt like losing grip on my professional self, and that was a pretty tough time to admit. And I felt alone because I'm a boss. I cannot deal this with my team as much, and that was another mistake and everything. So, and yeah, it's hard to keep the social conventions on. I would say I love remote work. I've done it all the time. But if you do just that, there's no one to tell you that you're feeling a bit off, telling you that you need help. That doesn't happen via a video connection. So I would encourage people to see other people also. And even further, when I started investigating that I should do like a nonviolent communication or SCARF models and that kind of stuff, it just made me angry. Everything made me angry. Nothing helped. So gladly, with the doctors, I had someone to talk to. But ultimately, the cure became from the group of bears, from my team. When I was open about this, they could start chipping in to all the things I've been holding too close to myself, all the backlogs that I had for myself, and everything. Pretty much everything that would require managerial credentials, like approving invoices and that kind of. That could be spread to the team. So instead of me doing everything myself, now we are opening our backlog more, including team members to the work. And their attitude, even though at first, when I told about this, the look, I see the same look in your faces. Is this guy terminally ill? Well, I'm not. And the team members had the same look as you do now. You're feeling a bit sorry. Perhaps you don't have to. I'm okay. And that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was pretty tough how I managed to lead this group of people after being honest about this. But apparently it worked really well. People seem to respect other people that are open, and show their weaknesses also. Because to be honest, I don't like those people either that are not honest and show their weaknesses. It goes a little bit about systems also. As a tester, if everything is green, I don't like it. I don't trust it. There's something wrong with it. We just haven't found it yet. So, yeah. This is what brings me energy, ultimately. The team is awesome, of course, but I need to focus more on this also. I worked long hours when building the team, but I also forgot what is actually important. And I love to torture myself, like there's this freezing figure with skis over there. And it's awesome to go skiing in a minus 30 degrees and suffering. And then when you come back through that, the euphoria is pretty awesome. I like to travel, do music, play games, and disc golf, of course. It's like a disc golf track is like my temple. So I get a lot of energy there. Yeah. I've ranted a lot, so time to wrap up. Sorry about me being excited on things. But hey, a few tips on preventing and curing exhaustion. I have no tips on anxiety or depression. My story was about exhaustion. Listen to yourself, listen to your workmates, listen to people around you. They might have something of help them. And especially when bosses, when you're a boss, listen to if there's even the slightest signal, then listen to that, react to that, help. Facts, you are not a purple, you are not ENFP, you are not narcissist. You should see someone who knows actually. Because as testers, we focus on facts. We measure the facts and how things should be and delta in between, and we try to close that down. As simple as that, as testers. Be open. I know this can be a bit difficult. We are not open by nature. I'm a Finn, and I noticed a certain aspect also in Estonians. We don't like to brag or whatnot. We just do the stuff and yay. As a Finn, it's hard for me to be open. I don't know if it's a national trait, but still. But try to be open, because that is honesty, and people can join into the effort. Don't give anyone 24/7, 365 promises. Set boundaries. I still allow Slack messages in the middle of the night, but I don't have to answer them. And also terms. If it's important for you to come to Nordic testing days every year, make a contract with your boss about that. It's easier that way. Because for me, this brings immense amount of energy. I can live at least to September with this energy. Then I have to find another conference. Let it go. There's a lot, especially when you're more just beginning in IT industry, and so you don't have to do that much to do things, to achieve things. I often consider seniority to be ability to do things with less energy. Because we do a lot of nonsense, a lot of useless stuff that then can be dropped away. And take it easy. Because you know the monks who rake the sand? When we were traveling with my wife, for instance in Asia, we came across a lot with these monks that were raking sand in their temples. I asked the lead monk there, why? They are doing several hours of just raking sand, making intricate figures on around the rocks and everything. They just said that it helps the wandering mind to focus and rest. So take care of your instrument, which is mind. And take care also of each other. We all are going through our respective battles. So take care of yourself and each other. Hey, thank you.
So we have a chance to ask a couple of questions before we wrap up. Any hands? Harles is ready for proper question assurance, because we haven't done that yet. Here we go.
At least one. It was a tough topic, I know, but...
I think it's an important topic, so thank you for your talk.
Yeah, thanks.
I was wondering, you talked about the stages and how you unknowingly got to almost the end of those stages.
Yeah.
Have you, in retrospect, looked back and identified your signals for the other stages so you can prevent getting to the end stage?
Yeah, I actually, to be honest, I noticed them earlier also, but they became more prominent now. And there's a lot of noise. Like you have to focus on work. There's a lot of backlog coming on. It makes harder for you to listen to yourself. So I don't know. It may have started way back, and it's just accumulated. But now I started because the problems became quite prominent, and not being able to complete tasks without recovering sizable times and everything. So it was pretty unsustainable, so I needed to react on it. So.
There's one more. Gotcha. It was working. Try again.
Works on my machine. Hey.
Okay. Arles, can you save us with another mic?
It's so quiet in here. It's like in church. You can whisper and we all hear.
Well,
hear
it works now.
Okay.
Things work better when they're switched.
Yeah, now it works. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, hello. I have a question related to this, the point you mentioned that open it, right?
Yeah.
Like most of the people, like some, or maybe some people are not very open because they do not want to discuss their personal, personal life with the others, right?
Yeah.
And if someone is having some issue with the personal life and they don't want to discuss with others, they always feel inside.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, not good. So
Yeah.
what should we do in this case?
Seek a boss, a better boss. Like I put so much weight on choosing a good boss because they can help also with that. Because sometimes there's we had small kids and I slept badly and everything. It started to affect my work. But it's usually every parent goes through that. But then you have to have someone in the workplace who understands, who has their antennas on and knows how to organize things for your benefit. And you deserve that kind of bosses. And I try to be that kind of boss, but it's a balancing act. So, yeah. So boss.
Thank you.
So, Sami, save your tears for another day.
Hey, thanks.